Hello and welcome to Mom Talk. I am your host, Crystal Galladay, the Fun Finder for Education, and I started this talk show about a little over a year ago because I wanted to create a forum where us as mom, as women, as those who support us can come together and talk about topics that are important to us and to learn about what each other are doing, because I have a powerful network and a lot of great people in my network that you have seen over more than a year with me hosting this talk show as well as doing other things. So I'm so happy you decided to join us on this April 2021 episode. And Mom Talk is for moms, those interested in motherhood, and those that support us. So don't think that if you're not a mom, you shouldn't be here. You definitely should be here because we have a lot of great topics that we talk about. And today we're going to talk about legacy planning as well as insurance with our lovely guest expert that I have known for over 2 decades. Yes, you heard that correctly. Over 2 decades. And I'm just so happy that she is able to spend some time and just break down this whole insurance game, not a game, but this whole insurance, like what we should do and things of that nature, and plan, because some generations, they don't plan for the future. And if you do plan for the future, you want to make sure that the next generation knows how to utilize it and what to do. I know for me, with my mom, she had everything laid out. Everything down to the funeral home that I needed to use, down to the insurance person that administered her insurance. I knew them. She had insurance out on me. And it's just, she had everything laid out that it made me, as her only child, very at ease when it came to planning for her celebration of life, because it wasn't a funeral, it was a celebration of life. Opposed to my dad, who didn't have everything planned. And, being his oldest of 3, I had to take the reins and do what I needed to do and just make it happen. So I want us all to be able to plan. Like for me, celebrating my 4th decade on the earth, I decided to do more legacy planning and planning for when I leave this earth, because I only have one child. And our guest expert, Samaiya Daniels, has definitely helped me with that. And she is my insurance agent, and she is also an independent insurance broker as well as a legacy safeguard agent. And she's going to provide us with so many different tips and things that we should do so that we can plan accordingly, so that our next generation is set and that we don't have to worry about what's going to happen with them, because we do our due diligence. Even today with our pre-talk, she was letting me know some things that I need to make sure that I do after this call. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Samaiya Daniels. And Samaiya, please let the people know more about you, beyond just the titles that I mentioned, because I've known you for 20 decades, a little bit more than 20 years, 2 decades, and you're an amazing person. So feel free to share anything else that you would like to about yourself.
Okay, well, hello, Mom Talk. Thank you, Crystal, for having me. I am an insurance agent. I am a broker, as Crystal said. And the reason why we are referred to as brokers is because I work for multiple agencies. I do not just represent one. Sometimes when you sit down with an expert, they might represent just one company, and they can only give you products and the perspective from that one company. They can't tell you other things available to you on the market. So I've been in this industry now 8 years. I transitioned from corporate America. I was a buyer for Urban Outfitters and QVC for a number of years, and I wanted to free up some of my time and also help others. Along with Crystal, I also lost my mother. I lost my mother at a very, very young age. I was 21. And one of the things that she did put in me and encouraged me, and she educated me on, was insurance. I think I sat down with her when I was maybe 14, and she started talking to me about insurance. And as a child, I was a little like, why are we talking about insurance? And I didn't know then, but I know now, because she was sick. She was preparing me, and she was in a position where she already knew that she had an ailment, and she wasn't sure how long she was going to be on this earth. So she wanted to make sure. At that time, I was the only child. I wound up having a sister. My mother I had a sibling who was 17 years younger than me. So she put me in a position where she prepared me, got me ready, and made sure I knew where her documents were and all the things that come along with getting ready to transition. So, with all the things that I learned when I made the transition out of corporate America, one of the things I took away with me is how can I help others? And one of the ways that I felt like I can help others the most is to provide them with information and to encourage them and give them accurate information. I find that in our community, a lot of times we are not knowledgeable about insurance, different types of insurance. We get tied up sometimes in these gurus that say, oh, don't buy this and don't buy that based on their experiences. And a lot of times it's not based on education and facts. So I'm here to dispel the myths and give accurate information based on the knowledge that I have in my last 8 years in this industry. And if someone has, specific questions about their own in particular dealings, we can have a consultation and I can talk to them one-on-one. But I am going to give out my information, my email as well as my phone number. So if you have questions, you can call me. Now, I am in the Pennsylvania area. So if you are in Pennsylvania, then I can sit down with you and talk to you about anything you want. If you are not, then you will need to look up an agent that's in your area. However, insurance is insurance and it's universal. So I can answer any questions.
Awesome.
Okay.
So thank you for sharing that and sharing your experience too, because we know with being the oldest or the only child, it's a lot of responsibility. And we don't want to think about losing our parents, because even my dad was like, oh, you're going to be fine financially after I die. And I'm like, I don't even want to talk about that stuff, but you do have to talk about that stuff because you want to make sure that everybody is prepared and know what to do. And that wasn't the case for my dad. Like, he thought that he would have all this money because he worked and had like $1 million or so saved, but then his health, he didn't take care of himself health wise. So he had to be forced into early retirement and then be forced to use his money that he had for other things to take care of himself and his health and the bills and all of that. So it's definitely important for us to plan accordingly. And I want to ask you, why is it important for insurance? Like, you and I know, but just can you let people know why is it important to have insurance?
I'm actually going to go over this, and I have a little presentation for you guys, a little PowerPoint, where I'm going to go over a couple of different things and talk about these different issues. Actually, if you give me,
I'm going to do that right now so that you can take over and go through all the stuff, because I know you have a lot of information to share. So the floor is yours.
Okay. I'm just going to start this PowerPoint. Okay, so life insurance, and this is not going to be a long PowerPoint. I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty. I'm just going to give you some basic overall information. Now, what is your legacy? What are you leaving behind? That's the question that you want to ask when you're getting insurance, when you're getting life insurance. Now, this is my business card. I'm putting this up there so you can screenshot it real quick. You'll have my information. I'll also present this at the end. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Whoever gets the personal 30-minute consultation, we can do a deep dive into your insurance, what you need, how much you need, and go from there. So one thing that you want to think about when you're getting life insurance is your overall estate planning. Life insurance, how much life insurance do you need? Do you have a living will? A living will says, who makes decisions for me? God forbid I go into the hospital and I cannot talk for myself. In this day of age right now with COVID, this is something that you really should have. Because if you are, God forbid, on a respirator, you cannot talk for yourself, who's going to make those decisions for you? Another thing you need to have is a will or a trust. Now, a will is going to help you and help your surviving family make decisions without tearing each other apart. I don't know if you've seen it or you've witnessed it when families just go kind of crazy. Mom and dad, someone passes away and they don't have anything written down. When they don't have anything written down, no one knows who gets what. People pulling and pushing and trying to take things. You have to sometimes sell everything. It just leaves a little bit of a mess. So when you have a will in place and you have things written down that says, my first child gets this house, my second child gets this house, you are to split everything in my savings. It makes life a little bit easier for everyone when you're going through a traumatic time. You don't want to be thinking about who gets what. So a will really does put things in perspective for everyone. Also, you can have a trust. A lot of people don't think about a trust. A trust is actually a great thing to have when you want to make sure something goes to a particular person. For example, it might be a child that's underage. In the state of Pennsylvania, if you leave money to a child in a will or life insurance policy, it automatically goes into a trust because Pennsylvania doesn't pay out to minors. A lot of people don't realize that with their life insurance policies. A lot of states will not pay out to a minor. So you have to have an adult that's going to take that money for that person. If something's in a trust for a child, it makes sure that money is protected, God forbid, you're not here, or the property is protected if you're not here, to make sure that your child who may be underage gets everything that you wanted to leave to them. You also want to think about power of attorney. Power of attorney is something that you think about in your later years, but this is also a good thing to start thinking about who you would want to have as power of attorney, preferably someone younger than you, because if it's someone that's the same age, that might not work. God forbid you get Alzheimer's, something happens to you, you have to go, you can't make decisions for yourself. Who's going to make those decisions for you? Who's going to pay your bills? Who's going to make sure that the house is taken care of? These are things that you want to think about. And something that Crystal touched on, long-term care. A lot of people do not have long-term care, and I understand it's very, very expensive. However, like Crystal said, her father was in a great position financially. However, he got sick. And that's what happens with people. You have everything in place, but then you get sick and you're like, oh my God, I can't work anymore. Now I don't have any health insurance. I'm using every dime in my savings account and my cashing out my 401k, borrowing money to pay medical bills. Long-term care helps with those things. It helps when you get to your later years and you need to go into a nursing home. Nursing homes can be around $14,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month. People don't think about that. So these are some things that you need to think about when planning your whole entire estate. And life insurance is just a part of that. Now, I know you're asking yourself, okay, I'm asking you really, are you insured? And when I say insured, I don't mean insurance from your job. A lot of people think if they have insurance from their job that they are insured. You're insured while you work. It's just like having car insurance. You have it for the moment. But once you stop working, that insurance normally goes away. And 9 times out of 10, even if you switch jobs, you can't take it with you. So you've invested all of this money during this time, put it into a life insurance policy that you're never going to use. It built no equity. You can't take any loans against it. And you don't even know who your agent is. You don't even have an independent number. You have a policy, a blanket policy that covers everyone on the job. So when you say you have insurance, do you have independent insurance just with your name on it? And do you have someone you can call and find out the ins and outs of your policy? Now, protecting your legacy means protecting yourself for the long haul and the short term. I know people always go back and forth between this. Whole life insurance versus term life insurance. Honestly, you do not have to have one or the other. You really honestly should have both. They're four completely different things. I always tell my clients, diversify. You do not have to be all in one company, and you do not have to have only one item as an insurance. You can have multiple life insurance policies. There's nothing saying that you can't. Some people think they get one and say, oh, that's my policy. No, you can have as many as you want, as long as you can afford them. Now, remember, whole life policies are with you until you transition. These policies stay with you for the remainder of your life. As long as you pay your premium, you will have life insurance. Now, in addition to that, whole life policies also build equity. There's money in the policy. You can take loans against them if you fall on hard times. Some people think, oh, if I take a loan against the policy, then it won't be any money left. That's really not true. If you take a loan against your policy and you can pay it back, or you don't pay it back, whatever you do pay back will go towards the face value of the policy. If you can't afford to pay it back, they'll just take it off of the face value of your policy, but you don't lose the policy. And that's also something you can use as to help with kids. One of the companies I represent, Gerber. People love the grow up plan for Gerber. Quite honestly, I have better plans in other companies, but I still represent Gerber because everyone loves Gerber. You can use whole life policies to help towards children's college tuition. You get them when they're young, 1 or 2 years old. They keep them until they're 18 or 17, about to go off to school. And whatever money there's in that policy, you can take a loan against it and use it towards their college tuition. A lot of people don't think in terms of that, but you can do it. Now, term life policy. A lot of people love term because term is cheap. And everyone loves a good deal on life insurance because it's something that you don't think about until you transition. However, term life insurance can act for you and give you two different benefits. One, a lot of policies now, if you had a policy for 10 years, I won't be able to tell you what that policy benefit is unless I actually look at the policy with you. However, now, a lot of term life policies have living benefits in their policies that will help you with long-term care. They have packages where if you get chronically ill, terminally ill, and say the doctor says, oh, you have cancer or you've gotten diabetes, heart attack, a stroke, you can take up to some of the policies up to 90% of the face value of the policy while you're still living. It's a rider that's on a policy. You can only do it one time in your lifetime. But if you get sick and you need extra income and your health insurance has maxed out, you don't want to take a second mortgage on your home, this is a vehicle you can use. Also, term is for a short period of time. You get a term product to cover debt, to cover mortgages. Now, a lot of people will say, how much coverage do I need? You can calculate it. You can calculate it yourself. If you sit down with a certified agent, they will calculate it for you. However, you can literally calculate this yourself. It's your debts, your mortgage, education, kids, plus your funeral. That's the basis of what you need. And the reason why I say debts is because if you're married, whatever you have, whatever you owe, all those credit cards, that education, student loans, all that is going to have to be paid by your spouse. That does not go away if you pass. Now, if you have a mortgage on your house, you want something to cover the mortgage and pay it off so that, God forbid, if something happens to you and you have small kids, they can stay in the home and have some sense of normalcy and won't be completely displaced from everything that they know. Also, education, whether it's paying off your education or maybe putting money aside for your kids' education. Regardless if you have a 529 plan or you have money saved or you have money in retirement, all of those things may change over time. So you want to have something in place that's going to secure and protect your family for the long haul. Now, with a term product, it doesn't have to be forever. It's going to be either 10 years, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Most mortgages are 30 years. Some people pay them off 15 years. So if you get a term product that's covering you for 30 years, it's going to cover your mortgage, cover whatever debt you have, cover your children's education based on whatever you think they may have to pay for college, and your funeral. Now, where the diversification comes in, and I always tell my clients, the one thing that's going to stay the same is your funeral. You're always going to have a funeral. Your debt's always going to change. Mortgage is always going to change because every month you pay a different amount. It goes down. What you owe towards education is always going to change, and your kids get older. At some point, they don't need you. So the one thing that won't is your funeral. So if you say, okay, I want to make sure I have money for the funeral, regardless of everything else, that money, whatever you want that amount to be, that can be your whole life. All the rest of these things is forever changing. That can be the bulk of your term. Now, that's just so you have a balance and you're not spending a fortune trying to purchase whole life, because whole life can be very expensive. Now, if you can afford to have $100,000, $200,000 whole life policy, you might be paying $100, $200 a month, then go for it. And if you're in a good enough health that a company will actually insure you for that amount. But if you know that, you know what, you want to keep your costs down, but you want to cover all these things for the bulk of the time that you're going to have these debts, then go for the term. You do a whole life in combination with the term life. Whether you're doing with the same company or different companies, doesn't matter. You have the option to do both. Now, when you're protecting your legacy, you're thinking about protecting your kids, you're protecting your health, you're protecting your home, and you're making sure that if something were to happen, that your family is not going to be basically broke because now an income has disappeared from your household. Half the income has disappeared from your household. Your children can't attend all of these different programs like they used to because now all the money is going towards your spouse trying to pay all the bills. So this helps balance out that transition time for your spouse or for the caregiver of your children if something were to happen to you. Now, again, I presented my card, so if anyone has questions, you can definitely email me. We will be doing a raffle, I believe, McGee.
Yes, so one lucky participant will get a 30-minute consultation with you. So yes, that will be happening shortly. Because as each of you joined, I put it in my lovely hat. My favorite color is yellow. Doesn't it look great in my complexion? So yes, your names are in here. So we'll do that shortly. But that was some great information because yes, I have a will and I did put it so that, you can do that like trust information in the will. Because if you do happen to pass and your child is a minor, you don't want to give a child all of that money. I know when it came time for like my dad, he did have like stuff like that in place for my brother. And I'm glad he did because, it is,
That's a lot.
everybody's not responsible at those ages.
Yeah.
So,
and also with the trust, it also helps you with the probate and the taxes as well. A lot of people don't realize, even with the will, you have to probate the will. You have to pay taxes on all the property, all the assets, everything that the person owned, in order for you to assume those properties and assume the assets and get your name added to the bank account and all of those things.
no
A
joke.
lot of people don't realize how much that can cost. And if you are already in a situation where maybe, say, mom, dad, they had a life insurance policy, but they were old school. Now they had a policy for $5,000 or $10,000. Now we all know right now, $5,000 or $10,000 is not going anywhere unless you're doing a cremation, and that depends on whatever your religious beliefs are. So if you're doing a cremation, then you can get cremated for $1,000, 5,000 max if you get a nice urn. But a funeral right now is ranging from $10,000 to $15,000. Now, unless you got cash on hand, sometimes if you don't have a policy, a nice funeral director will work with you, or maybe you get people and we've all seen it, GoFundMe's, fish fries, and they trying to figure it out. Hopefully everyone has something in place. If mom and dad did have something in place and they had like a $10,000 policy, that will bury them. But then who's going to pay for the probate? Who's going to pay to transfer the house? That money isn't there. So you have to figure out what's the best for your family and how you want to transition. A lot of people don't know, and I've actually been talking to my own father about this. Add your child, if they are of age, to the deed of the house. It transitions directly to them, and you do not have to pay the taxes. Why pay the taxes if you don't have to pay the taxes? We're not in the business to pay the government more money. So
wait, when you say of age, like, are you saying like 18 and over? Like, what do you say is the of age?
When you feel as though that they are responsible enough to put their name on the deed. I mean, if you put their name on the deed, they can also, go and try to do something with the house. So you don't want to do it with someone that's irresponsible.
Right. And I do want to mention something else. It does get expensive when you are the power of attorney, or what is it? The executive. Because even with like doing estate accounts,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do an extensive amount of research because I was just like, oh, I need an account. Like she has an account, I have an account. But the bank that I had, they had a charge monthly. Like, and
They
I was
do.
just like,
And
but
if you are a child, if well, I was a child. My mother was on my account, so I was able to get away with a lot because she was already on my account. We both were on the same account because she opened up a custodial account for me when I was a child. So you can get a lot of things done through those type of accounts. But once you're grown and neither one of your names are on an account jointly, yeah, you have to go through an estate account. It can get really expensive.
and I do want to say this. I know a lot of us are, from what I can see and what I know with the names here, and those who probably will watch this, we're of age where we're older and our parents are older, right? We may think our parents have everything under control, right? But we should get involved in their appointments that they have, in their documents that they have. My husband and I were like talking with my mom for a while, like, let's get your paperwork in order. Let's figure these things out. I want to have it easily accessible. And this is even before we found out about the cancer, because it's
Right.
a lot to deal with. So that's why
Yes.
this topic is so important, and I want us to get our house in order so that we can be fine for even beyond our time here on earth.
And that's a hard conversation that you have to sit down and have with your parents. A lot of times they're not ready to relinquish that information to you. I know personally, I had to go through my grandmother's whole house and declutter and get rid of papers. She had old policies that were 10 and 20 years old that were not active anymore. And actually find the actual policy that if anything happens, what am I supposed to have? Um, but only the person sometimes can tell you those things. Sometimes it can take years going through someone's house if they have a lot of paperwork and clutter and all types of policies. You won't even know if you're throwing away money. Like literally, you could be throwing away a life insurance policy and not even know it because a lot of older people hide things. They hide things from themselves. So I had to go through, I want to say, 25 carts of paperwork to find a life insurance policy for my grandmother because she couldn't remember what she did with it. So it's great to have those things. And if you have parents or grandparents that are living, sit down, ask them where are these documents and put them in a fire safe box with your will, with your trust, with your living will, power of attorney, and your life insurance policies so that everyone is all in one place. And God forbid if a fire breaks out in your house, it's protected.
And I will say
And
this, they have all different sizes of fire safety safes or whatever you want to call it. So you can my dad had the one to go, and then you could have the one with the codes that's like how they normally have in a bank, but depending on how big your house is.
mhm.
Um, but I know you mentioned power of attorney. That's definitely important to have. I also want to encourage this Mom Talk community and those beyond to have a healthcare proxy. Now, I know we may think, okay, we're healthy now. We never know what happens. We can walk outside, something can happen. Like we see the news, you know?
Right.
Have a
Yeah.
healthcare proxy, and because that's someone who will take care of, like, make decisions for you. And in that healthcare proxy, you will say, I want to be resuscitated or not, things like that. And I know it's hard. It's hard to think about those things. And my mom left it up to me to decide. And now I'm like, well, was I being selfish with having her on, the support for that long or not? But I did what I thought was best. When my dad was said no, like, I don't want to be, have the palpitations or try to get his heart going and stuff like that. So my sister and I saw him take his last breath. And he took it like when we started talking about funeral stuff. So I guess he felt like my girls got it under control. So just make sure you have that healthcare proxy. And it's just a paper. It's a paper
Mhm.
where you just say, is this person an address they have to sign? And you have to have a witness. You have to have it notarized. And this is
Yep.
what I want for I don't know what the term is, but like, do I want to be resuscitated or whatever the case may be?
They also refer to it as the
Yeah.
living will.
Right. So definitely do that. And I know I did my official will through like something like LegalZoom. You can get a
Mhm.
template and stuff like that. It doesn't have to, you don't have to make it complicated. I did one when I was single. I have one now when I'm married. So you definitely want to reassess these things because people I had when I was single in there, I don't even deal with them now. Like even family members, like it's real. Life changes. And another thing you mentioned that was really important, long-term care. That's something we need to think about. And now thinking of my two parents, like my dad ended up in a nursing home. And
Mhm.
that's not something we thought about, but my sister and I was away. He was thinking about moving to Texas with my sister. He didn't. My brother was younger. It's just that's something we need to think about because those bills for those nursing homes, they're
Oh
up
yeah,
there,
they're
as you
really
mentioned.
expensive. We went through that in my family, and yeah, it's ridiculous. Every month, it's a lot of money. You can be paying upwards 10 to 15, $20,000 a month. It's a lot of money, and you may think, okay, the person has money, but if you're spending 10, $15,000 a month for someone's care, and if they're in a nursing home, they might be in there for a while. That money runs out really, really quickly. So you have to factor in those things. And some people have things in place and some people don't. But like I said, if you have that conversation now, talk, like sit down and let's have Sunday dinner. Let's talk. Like let's see what's going on. I had that conversation with my father because thank God my mother had things, like she really did have things lined up and she put things in place, but she had time to prepare. So now we're in this COVID world where people are disappearing left and right. You don't know if you're going to get sick today or tomorrow. You don't have that same time to prepare. So if you're on this Zoom today, tomorrow, this week, sit down, have those conversations, start getting those documents in place, put that stuff in place because you don't know. We're living in a time that's so uncertain. You might not have the time that someone else did.
And I would say even take it a step further. Like I'm gonna start visiting funeral homes and also cemeteries and stuff because no, I'm serious. I'm trying to have everything laid out
Why?
for my prince because my mom had her plot. She had the stone already. Like
Oh,
that
okay.
makes
Okay.
it super easy.
You can
Oh,
okay, so you can purchase plots. It's something that families did long time ago, and people still have them. We have a family. I have a family plot. We put loved ones in it who didn't have insurance, but we do have a family plot. You can purchase
it's
a family plot.
expensive. It's expensive.
It's about $1,000, but honestly, you're going to spend, you're going to get a better price purchasing it in advance
Right. That's
than
what I mean. Yeah.
and they're trying to find a pot for you, during that time because they really do rake you over the coals with the prices at that point.
And
Because
then you can pick where you want to be too. Because
yeah,
like
and you get to pick whatever it's based on whatever is available at that moment. You don't really get to like search around and you're not going to get to compare prices. However, the legacy safeguard that I gave you, they actually have a hotline. It helps you with all of those things. They help you find and plan your funeral. They send you a whole planner where you have to write down all the information of what do you want, down to what type of scripture you want read at your funeral and what kind of flowers you want presented. Who do you want to be your pallbearers? They ask you all of that information. They actually plan it out for you. And then you just, once something happens, they get contacted and they send all the documents to your family and everything's planned.
well, I want to give you your flowers because you did educate me on a lot of different things. And I do have to go through those planning things again. But with having like the both life insurances, multiple companies, even the program that you provided me with is not something that every insurance person talks about. I believe it's that SAGE program. If you're on my email list, I did send it out. But
Yes.
that like every birthday for my prince, they're putting money in his account for college. So
Mhm.
that's just a beautiful thing. So I definitely want to say thank you because it's been a topic that, yes, I've had the insurance for years. My mom had insurance for me. I got it when I had my family, but It's a topic that I didn't really want to talk about. My parents tried to get me to talk about it, and I knew the general logistics, but actually going through the process of burying them. And my dad, his urn is in this room. Like the picture, my little one talks to him, and my mom decided to be buried and had her stuff already situated. But it's a lot. It's a lot. So
It,
that's why
it
we're
is
here.
a lot. And honestly, if it wasn't for my life experiences, I probably wouldn't have been able to help you. So it definitely things do come swing around and come true to fold. But um, one of the things that you, one of the things that I'm so thankful for is that I'm in a position where I can help other people and educate other people. Whereas though there are so many people that have no insurance, and sometimes you sit down with people and they honestly they don't want insurance, they don't understand it. So I'm hoping that this forum tonight you can take some things away from it and pass on knowledge to other people who may not understand it or just they just aren't thinking about it. Um, in addition to the life insurance, a lot of policies offer additional benefits and people just are not aware. They offer long-term care benefits. They offer ailments if you get sick. They offer if you, God forbid, you have a heart attack or stroke, you can take the policy while you're still living. Like life insurance isn't like it was back in the day anymore. It's policy that you can use while you're living. They have living benefits and it's there for your family when something happens to you. And people aren't aware of all those things. In addition, it depends on the company that you're with. For example, one of the companies that you're with, they actually have a scholarship program that they offer to kids. They have contests that they give out cash
I love
prizes.
that. And they send him
Yeah.
his own magazine monthly. Like,
Yes, yes. And when he first got like they sent him a gift.
yep.
Insurance companies are doing all different types of things nowadays to retain their clients and to make sure that you have a good experience and it's not just for once something happens to me, this is the number that you call. No, it's a relationship. It's communication. They let you know when they're having events. They have events, they have barbecues. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And also some of the policies and some of the companies that you are with, you can really grow with. A lot of these companies don't just have life insurance, they have health insurance, they have long-term care, they have annuities, they have all kinds of investment vehicles that you can grow and really diversify your money and not just that one entity. So really, I would say if you know of a good company and you want to be in a good company or you have a question about what is a good company for me, and every company is different because someone with diabetes will not have a, a long list of companies who are willing to actually insure them. So if you're overweight, some companies will not insure you. Now with COVID, quite honestly, if you had COVID, a lot of insurance companies are saying no, you're automatically declined. They won't even give you insurance. I have a lot of people call me and they're like, "Oh, I need to get insurance." I'm like, "Did you have COVID?" And they're like, "Yeah." Okay, well, there's nothing I can do for you right now because the insurance companies don't want to take the risk of insuring someone who had it and then something happens to you a month from now. Um, so I hope everyone is in a position where you have insurance. Like this is you're on this call because you have insurance and you're thinking about what's next. How much insurance I should have. Should I add another policy? Did I take out a policy for my child? And I always tell people, do not just add a child as a rider on your policy. Open a policy, an independent policy for that child because that policy will grow with that child. In addition, they have policies now that are limited pay. They're like term policies, but they last for your entire life, but you can pay them off in 10 years, 20 years, and you're done making payments. So when you go into retirement, you're no longer paying a life insurance policy. It's already paid off. It's just sitting there waiting for something, waiting for you to cash in.
So I want to say two things. You mentioned about the company. I know exactly which company you're talking about out of the two we're working with that has great customer service, and events and stuff like that. Every time I call, it's always somebody that picks up, always somebody that takes their time with answering my questions. And this is a company that I would not have known about without you. So thank you for that. And I know people on the call, everyone doesn't have life insurance. So that's another reason why I had this forum, so that they can connect with you and or find someone in the area if they're not in Pennsylvania, or have that consultation with you, so that they can figure it out, because it's never too
Mm-hmm.
late to get it. And I did have one question for you before we kind of wrap it up and open the floor up for questions. Should we get an assessment of our insurance over a certain amount of years?
Yes, you should. You should have an assessment. Some insurance agents will sit down with you every single year. Some will sit down with you during change of life, additional child, purchasing a house, different things of that nature. You should have an assessment. Um, depending on depending on where you are at that time, your insurance agent will either recommend that you purchase more insurance, or you might say that you're in a good spot. Or if you are working with a financial planner. Now, is a difference between an insurance agent and a financial planner. Financial planners are planning your finances. Insurance agents are telling you what best insurance to get. They are two different things. Some financial planners do sell insurance. However, most of them are not diversified in a lot of companies, so they can only offer you what's available to them. Um, I would say to definitely, when you're meeting with your insurance agent, meet with your financial planner to see if that's the best place for your money, because it may be better placed somewhere else.
Okay. Thanks for that information. So what's next for you in regards to the realm of insurance, being an insurance broker, um, legacy planning, or anything else? Is there something else you want to share about yourself before we?
Well, I am expanding more into the healthcare, Medicare field. I healthcare is just at a height right now. So those are the things that I'm doing in the insurance world. But outside of that, I have a whole nother business. As you know, I'm a CEO of Elise Style Collection. So I have been diligently working on my website and product and all of those things, getting my other business up and running. So I wear multiple hats.
And I want to plug that business, because it's a lot of stylish things, custom made things, in regards to like masks, bonnets, clothes. Like Samaiya is super talented, where she made her own wedding gown. She made the whole bridal party where everyone had different designs. Like she like refurbished old wedding dresses into like different things. So Samaiya does wear multiple hats and is super talented. And just reach out to her on that note too.
Yeah,
But
I'm actually working on two weddings right now. I have a bride and mother and grandmother to the bride. Um, yes, so I'm doing multiple things. However, um, insurance is just like something that you should really, really have. And anytime that I can sit down and educate a group of intelligent women and men about getting themselves insured, and what type of insurance that you should really look out for, and also just answer some basic questions. No question is too big or small when it comes to insurance. Some people might think that, oh, that's a ridiculous question, or, oh, I don't want to ask that. No, ask the question. The person can only say yes, no, or I don't know. So whatever question you have, ask question, and I hope that opens up our Q&A, because
it does. It definitely does. So if anyone does have a question, feel free to come off of mute or put it in the chat if you're a little bit shy to say your question out loud. But this is an opportunity to have some time to, I wouldn't say pick your brain, because your time is valuable. And I know we have the consultation sessions, but just get some general information. And if you do have any personal information, it would be best to, a personal question, it'd be best to have a one-on-one consultation with Samaiya.
Well, thank you, Samaiya. This is Kyrie. This is it's listed under Phoenix, which is my daughter. This is her Zoom login. But thank you for the information. I am pretty well. I feel like I'm set. My dad grew up as an insurance agent, so I used to go with him, walking around with his money bag, collecting money from everybody. So I actually recently had a nurse come to the house to increase my or get another term policy as well. So that was very interesting, for the lady to come take my blood and, urine samples or whatever. So just actually recently did that. And then I got a preferred rate. So my dad was like, you better jump on it. He said, because this was me, he said his would have been way more than that. So I think it is good, like you said, to get it like as soon as you can when you're in good health. But my question for you, which stuck out to me, which Crystal, I can talk to her about this later too, but what did you say about obtaining insurance for the minor children so they could pay for college, for later that we can borrow from it for college?
Okay, so whole life policies earn cash value. Term policies do not. Term policies are like car insurance. You just pay to have them and you're covered during that time, but they have no cash value with them. So for whole life policies, that's the reason why they cost more. But on the back end, you can take loans against them. So this is what people do, especially when their children are really, really young. If you have a 1 or 2 year old, actually, you can insure a child as young as 2 weeks. You get a life insurance policy on them. I have a client who has a $100,000 life insurance policy on her child. Took it out when the child was 1 year old. The policy over the time that he will, grow up will mature for probably about $20,000, which will be in the policy. Now, children's policies are really, really cheap. So for the amount that you might pay for a rider on your policy, it's probably the same amount you would pay for a whole life of his own policy. And the benefits of it is the child keeps it for the rest of their life. If something happens to you, you just sign a policy over to the child, and now they have their own life insurance policy that is already paid for. If I'm signing you up for a policy, is a policy that's paid for and it's been paid for some time, because I don't put children into any policies that aren't paid off by 20, 10, 15 years. They have paid up options. So if you get a paid up option, pay it up in 20 years, the child might be, say he's 4 when you get it, 24 years old, and now he's an adult. The whole policy's paid up. You can sign the policy over to the child. Now, whatever that amount was, whether it was 25, 50, 100,000, now he has his own policy. I actually know people who their grandparents signed over policies to them, and then they went and took loans against it, and was able to use it to do other things with it. So it's best to get a policy while the child is young. You can still get it when they're older, but I always say get a policy on the child, because the younger you are, the cheaper the policy is. And most children are healthy. So if you can get a policy while they're healthy and they're really, really young, they can get a lot of insurance for a small price.
But there's also another program you mentioned too.
Sage?
Yes, Sage is another program.
College rewards, yes. A lot of financial planners, I used to offer this to all of my clients. I no longer offer it anymore because I didn't have enough people that were actually taking advantage of it. But it's called Sage College Rewards. Most financial planners, a lot of insurance agents use them. What they do is every year on the child's birthday, they actually give you points. So it's like you start off with 3,000 points, and each point is equal to $1. And every year on the child's birthday, they contribute like 500 more points or 500 more points. And you use the point system towards a university. They don't give you money, but they give the university points in form of a scholarship for that child. So there's a lot of different programs like that are tied in or linked to different insurance companies. You just have to ask the insurance company what programs they are participating in.
Yeah, that was something that blew my mind. But Kyrie, I want to make sure that we answered your question fully, and if you had any follow-up.
Oh, no, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. It doesn't. Why is my voice getting like that? It doesn't sound like we have anyone else right now that has questions live. As Samaiya, she provided her information. For those who RSVP'd, I will provide that information in the recap email as well as the recording, because I know we were taking notes, but then we also may want to go back and review some of our notes. There's a lot of good information. So without further ado, I'm going to do the raffle for the 30-minute consultation with Samaiya. But I also wanted you, if there's anything that you wanted to share, if it's something you have going on that you want to share with this community, you can. I like to do a round robin because we all have great things going on that maybe we can support one another or someone can utilize your services. So think of that while I shake up the hat with the names, and I'm going to pick a name to have that one-on-one consultation with Samaiya. And it is Diane Daniels. So Diane, you are.
Hi, I'm Samaiya's mother-in-law, so I can have a consultation at any time. So I will gracefully allow someone else to be selected.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And nice talking to you.
You also. Hello, everyone.
All right, I think I have two names. Not looking. Okay. Noreen Hobson. Noreen Hobson. I will share your information with Samaiya, well, vice versa. I'll connect the two of you. So Noreen is the person for the 30-minute consultation. So I'll connect the two of you. But I wanted to see if anyone, like I'll do a quick round robin and see if you have anything going on. I do want to let you know, Mom Talk does take place every fourth Wednesday of the month, excluding November, because November I have my nonprofits big fundraiser and award scholarships. Last year I awarded 5. This year I want to award 10. So we're working our way there to do that. So the next date will be Wednesday, May, and I should have had the calendar up for that. But Wednesday, May 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And the beautiful thing is once you RSVP for One Mom Talk, you'll get the information via email. Definitely check your spam or promotions folder because the information may go there, but it's happening every month. And I'll see African Queen, do you have anything you wanted to share with the group? Is something you have going on? Alex? Miss Diane? I was about to say Phoenix Kyrie. Anyone else? Just open your mic if you do. If not, I do want us to stay connected. Definitely make sure you follow. I will go to my website, crystalgalladay.com. I share a lot of great information. Feel free to get on my email list because like this information about the SAGE College Fund, I shared that to those who are on my scholars list, as well as a lot of other useful information that I try to share monthly if there is and sometimes maybe more than that. But Samaiya, I so appreciate you joining us and sharing all this wealth of information. Are there any closing words that you want to leave with the Mom Talk community?
Yes, because I have to leave you with a little bit of homework or I wouldn't be doing my job. So the one thing that I would like to leave you with is for all of you who have insurance, I get this a lot when I sit down with clients and they say, I have insurance, but they're not really sure what they have. I want you to go to your insurance policy, look on the first page of the insurance policy, and look over how much coverage you have, as well as what type of insurance policy it is. Is it whole life or is it term life? You might also see universal life because the universal life is like a hyper. Look and see how much coverage you have and look at the face value and do you have any riders, any benefits in that policy to determine when you sit down with an agent, if you're looking to get more coverage, how much coverage you should get because you need to factor in what you currently have. So that's just a little bit of homework. And I would hope that this Zoom call was beneficial to all of you. You had I gave you a little bit of food for thought, and hopefully you will share this with at least one or two people.
Yes, I love it. We have the homework. I have to review my stuff and fill out that sheet that you mentioned. And I know you'll hold me to it. This will
I'm gonna call you.
And I think I need a refresher just so we can review everything too.
You gotta sit down, yes.
So this is recorded. It will be available. I'll send the recording out. So definitely share it with, I would say, two or more people that you know, because this is important. Like, we want our communities to thrive, not just for our current generation, but for generations beyond. We want to break any generational curses, or we want to leave our next generation better than what we are. And we have to teach them how to be able to manage what we're leaving for them too, because we've heard stories where people left things and then people don't know how to take care of it. So thank you all. I wish you all peace and blessings, and hopefully I'll see you in something else that's going on, be it the next Mom Talk. Definitely let me know what you're doing as well. I'm more than happy to share on my social media outlets. I do have, a good amount of people that support and follow my journey. So thank you all, and I will see you next time. Thank you, Samaiya.
Thank you. Peace and blessings.